It's very important for me, I think, at the end to have a fire station that is functional, it's well built, the community is proud of it, the firefighters are proud to be there, and it's not institutional in nature. I think that's really, really important.
There's a couple things that are important to note as far as current trends go. First, designers need to keep current with what firefighters say and do to understand what their issues are, and that we are hearing what their issues are. Each trend then is really offset by a conversation with the firefighting staff to figure out what works for them and what doesn't work for them, and we implement it based on their feedback.
I think any good designer would tell you that you don't design the structure until you know what property it's going to sit on.
The actual location of the fire station is dependent on the response time within the area that's trying to be served. So you want to be thoughtful about placing the station where you have good traffic access. It might be at a traffic light, or it might be around the corner so that an engine can quickly get to a busy highway.
Nowadays we track our reaction time, our travel time, our effective response force time to get to incidents. And so when we design the buildings, we need to look at how do we design the building so that the thing that they do, which requires them the most time to get to the apparatus, is closest to where the apparatus is. The design firm gets that kind of information from the firefighters that ride the trucks.
One of the things that we are focused on in terms of firefighter health is the decontamination from the exposure that firefighters experience when at fires.
You say, well, what's that got to do with building a building? Well, you know what? These are clean buildings now. We have to design these buildings so no turnout gear comes into living spaces. We don't want any carcinogens to potentially even come in the fire stations. Having those kinds of facilities at each station are very important. You have to design for those.
We do the same thing with the air. We make sure that the exhaust ventilation is controlled. We make sure that the fresh air is maximized. So when they leave the confines of the equipment bay and go into the living space, they are clean. They are as clean as they can be.
We talked about health issues around cancer, but we also deal with mental health. And so when we design these buildings, we're also thinking about, well, where do these people go to decompress, you know? How do you build it so that it feels like home? And so that the firefighters are not carrying the stress of all these calls that they go on all the time.
So what we're finding is that firefighters typically are moving to a more private bunk situation. So rather than 10 people in a room, it's maybe 2 to a room. We then don't have to have a precise number of male or a precise number of female. They become multi-use. Any gender can use it, any time can use that. So it's very important to give them communal spaces as an offset to those retreats. So we're also at the same time focusing more on the kitchen areas. They're not a galley anymore, they're an eat-in kitchen. So they can spend time together and really decompress together. Do the same thing with their living space, their TV watching and a game playing and so forth. The structure of the fire station is meant to be there when nobody else is there. When it is as bad out as possible, fire service is still here. So we operate a lot in the coastal area. Hurricanes and seismic forces are significant. So those factors make the need to build the station more resilient and more durable than ever.
I would highly recommend Becker Morgan. We have been able to develop a relationship with them where we are able to talk to them and they are able to speak frankly with us. At the end of the day, the mark of a true building is, did it get built and was it functional? And they consistently put out good products for us. They're more of a partner than a contractor, and that's, I think, based on the relationship that you have with them.